If fish oil actually works for inflammation, why are so many people still inflamed while taking it? Because a lot of people are buying the wrong kind. And I do not mean just slightly off. I mean products that contain relatively low amounts of the omega-3s that have actually been studied. Used forms your body may not absorb as efficiently, or in some cases, may be more oxidized and lower quality than you would ideally want. So if you have been taking fish oil for months and your joints still ache, your labs still look off, or your body still feels like it's stuck in a low-grade inflammation mode, this video is for you. Stay with me, because by the end, I'm going to show you how to read a fish oil label in about 30 seconds. The 3 red flags that separate a higher quality product from a low impact one. And when fish oil is actually worth taking versus when it is more of an expensive experiment than a reliably evidence-based intervention. Also, quick warning, some of what I am about to show you may make you look at your current supplement bottle a little differently. I'm Marcus. I'm a research scientist with over 25 years of experience. I am the wellness watchdog, and you're watching Health Sense or Nonsense, where I go through the latest research, break it down into plain English, and filter out the hype so you don't have to. Let's get straight into it. Fish oil is not one thing, and this is where most people go wrong. What you are actually buying when you pick up fish oil is a mix of omega-3 fatty acids, mainly EPA and DHA. EPA and DHA are the compounds that can influence inflammation in the body. Think of inflammation as your immune system's volume knob. EPA and DHA can help turn that knob down in certain situations. Now here is the key part. Not all fish oil contains meaningful amounts of EPA and DHA. And this is not just marketing spin. When you look at research papers and public available nutrient data on supplements and foods, you see large differences between products in EPA and DHA content. Some products are essentially lower dose formulations with a relatively small amount of the omega-3s most commonly studied. Before you go check your supplement bottle, hold on, because this next part is where most people get it wrong. If you picked a decent dose, even if the label looks clean, there is one factor that can limit the potential benefit, and it does not get nearly as much attention as it should. And if you miss this, you can spend years taking fish oil and never see a meaningful result. So let's break it down. First problem, the front label is not telling you the full story. When a bottle says 1,000 milligrams of fish oil, that does not mean 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA. That is total oil. And what actually matters is the combined amount of EPA and DHA. In many lower priced or generic products, that number can be relatively low. Might only provide around 300 milligrams of EPA plus DHA, with the rest being other fats. So you think you are taking something effective, but biologically, you may not be getting a dose similar to what has been studied. Second problem is the form of the fish oil. Fish oil can come in different chemical forms like triglycerides, ethyl esters, and phospholipids. Translation, different packaging for the same nutrients. Some forms appear to be absorbed better than others in clinical studies, especially when taken with food, although the clinical significance is still debated. This means what you swallow is not always what your body ends up using. So now you have 2 variables working against you at the same time: lower dose and potentially lower absorption. The third problem is quality. Omega-3 fats are fragile and they oxidize, which means they can degrade over time. When they do, you're not necessarily getting the same biological effect you would expect. Some independent analyses have found fish oil products that do not meet their label claims or exceed recommended oxidation limits. Larger surveys suggest many products do fall within voluntary industry standards. So now we have a pattern: lower dose, variability in form, and variability in quality. And people are surprised. Nothing is happening. Let's talk about something that does not get enough attention: freshness. Because fish oil is not a multivitamin, these are delicate fats and they degrade over time, especially when exposed to heat, light, and oxygen. Translation, your fish oil can go bad, and you might not know it. Some people assume it smells a little fishy. That is normal, and to a degree it is. But there is a difference between mild and something that smells clearly rancid. If you open a bottle and it smells aggressively off, and you get repeated fish burps that feel like a seafood flashback, that does not automatically mean it is dangerous, but it does suggest the quality may not be ideal. And in that situation, it may be reasonable to replace the product or check with the manufacturer. Even if your product is high quality when it is manufactured, that does not guarantee it stays that way by the time it gets to you. Think about shipping, storage, and warehouse conditions and time on the shelf. That bottle might have had a long journey. This is why expiration dates, proper storage, and bottle design actually matter. Dark bottles, sealed packaging, and reputable brands that move inventory quickly reduce the chances that you are getting something degraded, because the goal is not just to take fish oil. The goal is to take fish oil that still behaves like fish oil. Now let me add one more layer. Dose expectations. A lot of people take 1 capsule a day and expect a noticeable effect within a week or two. When that does not happen, they assume fish oil does not work. But when you look at many clinical trials that show changes in inflammatory markers, daily EPA plus DHA doses are often in the gram level range, especially in studies of people with higher baseline inflammation and higher than what many people take from a single low-dose capsule. That does not mean everyone should take that amount, but expectations need to match what has actually been studied. There is also something else worth mentioning that does not get talked about enough: consistency. Because even a well-formulated fish oil will not do much if you take it sporadically, since these fatty acids incorporate into cell membranes over time, and the effect is gradual, not immediate. Skipping days or taking it randomly is not how these supplements were studied. Think of it like a pain reliever and more like a slow adjustment to your body's baseline. That requires consistency over weeks or months, not a few scattered doses. And here's where people get tripped up again. They combine low consistency with low dose and expect a noticeable result. That is like going to the gym once a week, lifting half the weight, and wondering why nothing is changing. It is not that the method does not work. It is that the execution never gave it a fair chance. Before you decide fish oil does nothing for you, ask whether you were taking a meaningful dose from a decent product consistently enough to expect a result. The supplement industry is very good at making things look simple. Take this pill, fix this problem, move on with your life. But biology does not work like that. It's more like a group project. And fish oil is one contributor, not the entire solution. If sleep is poor, diet is inconsistent, stress is high, and movement is low, fish oil is walking into a very chaotic system. And it is doing its best, but it's only one piece of the picture. If you like evidence-based breakdowns without supplement industry hype, please hit like and subscribe. It helps more people find actual signs instead of marketing disguised as health advice. Now, let's zoom out for a second. Fish oil is not a curveball. Even in the research, the effects are context dependent. Meta-analyses do show reductions in inflammatory markers like CRP, IL-6, and TNF-alpha, but the size of that effect varies and depends heavily on the population being studied. If your inflammation is driven by poor sleep, excess body fat, high stress, uncontrolled blood sugar, or underlying medical conditions, fish oil is not going to override that. Which specific factors are driving your inflammation is something that has to be worked out with your clinician. I am not your doctor, and this video is for general educational purposes only. It is not personal medical advice, does not diagnose or treat any condition, and does not replace a conversation with your clinician. Never start, stop, or change supplements or medications based on a YouTube video. Now, let's get practical. Here's how to actually choose a fish oil that has a chance of working. First, ignore the front of the label and go straight to EPA plus DHA per serving. This is your real number. Second, look for a meaningful dose relative to what has been used in research. Third, look for transparency in labeling. Fourth, look for third-party testing like IFOS, NSF, or USP. These do not guarantee effectiveness, but they do indicate some level of independent testing for purity and potency. Fifth, pay attention to storage, since these oils do not like heat, light, or oxygen. Small details like this can make a meaningful difference over time. And here is something most people miss. Even if you do everything right, fish oil still might not be the thing that moves a needle for you, because supplements are tools, not solutions. The strongest data still supports getting nutrients from whole foods whenever possible. Fatty fish provides EPA and DHA along with other beneficial nutrients that work together. Supplements can help fill gaps, but they are not a replacement for a solid foundation. So, if you are still inflamed despite taking fish oil, here is your honest check. Your dose may be too low. Your product may have low EPA and DHA content. The form may not be ideal. The quality may be inconsistent, or your inflammation may be coming from something fish oil cannot fix. And that last one is the most uncomfortable truth, but it is also where real progress starts. Final reminder, talk with your clinician before changing your supplement routine, especially if you have underlying conditions or take medications. So here's the bottom line. Fish oil is not useless, but a lot of fish oil products are not formulated or dosed in a way that is likely to reproduce what you see in clinical trials. If your supplement has low EPA and DHA, unclear quality, or the wrong form, you are not really testing whether fish oil works. You are really just testing whether a low-impact version is unlikely to do much. So, before you give up on omega-3s, fix the variables that actually matter. Better dose, better transparency, and better quality. Then, decide if it works for you. I'm Marcus. This is Health Sense or Nonsense, and I'm the Wellness Watchdog, reminding you, do not confuse expensive with effective. Wellness Watchdog out.